end is averaging 15.6 yards per completion.
Yeah.
What leads to that, and what are you seeing?
I think that they've done a good job at controlling the tempo of the game, and I think they've got a potent run team. You know, zone, stretch, there's a little bit of counter sweep in there, rotation of 3 backs, and it opens up the pass game. I think early on, with some of the teams watching them, they needed to get more bodies in the box to be able to stop the run, and it opened up a lot of the single throws on the outside, because no matter what coverage you play, you could play cover 3, you could play quarters, you could play man. You've got single throws on the outside, and their outside receivers are quality receivers. And then to add into the mix, you know, their slot is a shifty guy, and they feed him the ball a lot as well. 87. So it's 87, 15, and 4.
What do you think of Lego, that quarterback?
I think what he does is he manages the game well. Everything is called for him basically from the box. What I know about him personally is the fact that they do whatever they can to steal defensive signals. So they work at it real hard. So they're going to get you signals, and if they don't get them before the game, they get them during the snap, and then they actually call the play at the line of scrimmage. That's not anything different or new. It's just something that I think they really hone in on, and they try to get into the perfect run or the perfect pass to beat your front and to beat your perimeter cover down. And I think the quarterback does a great job at understanding what it is that's being called, and how to get the ball run to the right, run to the left, or when it's a pass, where to go with the ball, because he understands the coverage and the play that it goes with.
How do you combat that when the team's constantly trying to steal signals? I mean, do you do anything special to...
Number one, play better than they do. But you know, we do a lot of different things from a standpoint of giving dummy signals, even though it appears we only have one signaler. We use wristbands for the call, and I mean, it's still just a matter of playing football, because you know, there are, in the past game, there are beaters versus man, there are beaters versus quarters, there's beaters versus 3, beaters versus 2, and it makes it difficult on you, but the offense still has to execute. They still have to block the rush. In the run game, you know, every defense that you have, you know, you have somebody that's assigned to cancel each gap, to leverage, to fill, and all those type of things. So, you know, it's nothing new. I think some teams just do a better job at that type of thing than others, and it'll be important for us to just keep changing things up from a standpoint of how we send the call in.
How do you know a team like steals signals? Like, I would think that would be something that they're across the field. How do you know going into the game that they do that?
Well, coaching is a very tight fraternity, and other teams have played them. Other teams have coached with other coaches on different staffs and things like that, and word gets around. And again, like I said, it's nothing earth-shattering, but I know, like in the Pac-12, every defense that was called for Arizona State, they did the same thing, and you knew it, because the offense would be on the line of scrimmage, and the defense would all be looking at the head coach that was giving the signals, because he wanted to know what the formation was going to be prior to him making a defensive call. And they try to do it prior to that and get the signals. And like I said, some teams work harder at it than others. Washington one year, we had a secondary coach that was on our staff, and they literally had a 3-ring binder, 2 guys on one end on either end, and I would move back and forth like this, and you could see them just following you, and the pictures were of us actually signaling. And you know, and it goes for them, you know, it goes good for a while. I'm sure they get the majority of them. At the same time, you do some things to mask that and give dummy signals and have somebody that's not even involved on a normal basis to give the signal, as well as, like I said, we use wristbands as well.
Coach, it sounded like cleaning up tackling was one of the focuses of the bye week. You had with the way the guys are flying around early on this week.
Well, from a standpoint of the tackling, you know, we do. I don't know how many days we've missed. I think we might have missed 4 days in all of camp just due to time constraints. But we work on an aspect of tackling every day, and there's usually 3 drills involved. One with tracking, one with you know, working your feet to get them in the proper position to coincide with the shoulder that you strike with, and then the actual technique of the shoulder strike, the punch, and the wrap. So, I mean, that hasn't changed. We were just disappointed in the Illinois game in the way we showed up, and a lot of it had to do with we were a little bit out of position and not in a positive position. We were more in a negative position to make tackles, and we didn't bring our feet. We didn't strike with a proper shoulder and things of that nature.
Coach, you guys faced the #1 passing offense in the Big Ten, one of the top ones in the country. Do your guys like that challenge facing a quarterback and a passing offense like this?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you can ask them now. They're number one when they say number one. They're number one yardage-wise in our conference throwing the ball. At the same time, this team wants to run the ball, and that's what I alluded to earlier. I truly believe their success in throwing the ball has come because of the fact that they've done some damage in running the ball. You know, in the early part of this season, and it's helped them out in that passing game. Like I said, they've got 3 quality receivers. They've got some backs to throw to. The quarterback delivers a nice ball, and they do a great job of protection. They'll release 3 receivers sometime and keep in 7 to block. So when they pass the ball, you know, it's throw to the guy that's open in some cases. I think on first or second down, a lot of it has to do with, again, coming off of the run scheme. You hear so much nowadays of run-pass option. You know, so if this backer has that B gap and it's run to him, well, if he takes that run gap, then they throw to the receiver behind him. If that backer sits in that hole underneath that passing lane, then they run the ball in that B gap. So there's a lot of run-pass options that they have in the early downs, and they've been successful at doing that. No, you know, Oregon was a speed team from a standpoint of the athletes, smaller team. You know, these guys use a tight end. They keep the back end with a tight end at times to block in their pass offense. They're a zone. They're a stretch. They run some counter and a little bit of sweep and power, you know, with pullers, and that's not necessarily Oregon. Oregon, you know, they'll hit you inside, then all of a sudden they've got all that speed, and they're going to the outside in the run game. Their focus, you know, was more on that, and then taking their deep shots. These guys truly control the game, and they do a nice job of it. They're going to rely on you early to make mistakes, get what they can, and then when it's time, if they're not ahead or don't like what they've got going in the course of the game, then at some point in time in that second half, they'll have to come after you.
Mark, how do they maybe try to fool you pre-snap or post-snap?
Say that again.
How do they try to maybe fool you a little bit? Williams was saying that it's a game where you got to kind of read in your keys more than any game. Is there something there that challenges it that way?
You know, I'm not sure what Kyron was speaking of, but I know down in the red zone, for example, you know, a theme of theirs, they've got a lot of some trickeration. You know, they'll look like the tight end is zone blocking up on the second level, and then he just keeps going, and next thing you know, he's catching the wheel in the back corner of the end zone. The quarterback constantly goes along the line of scrimmage, you know, barking out the signals. Next thing you know, he's standing on the edge of the line of scrimmage as the weak side 2 receiver, and it's a direct snap to the quarterback. So he might be talking about red zone. You know, I don't think they're any different than some of these teams that run the bubble game and things like that, where the guy that's blocking for the bubble will then slide off and he'll continue to wheel upfield and things of that nature. But he is right from a standpoint of it is a big eyes game. You know, you're gonna have to have you know, discipline in doing that. But that's not much different than any other game from that standpoint.
Anything else?
Coach, with the offense so banged up, do you feel like the defense needs to bring in a little extra this game?
You know, we start out every game. You know, we want to limit the touches. We want to limit the amount of points that the opponent scores. You know, we'd like to shut out everybody. You know, they count on us. We count on them. Special teams. You know, the whole thing's in it. I've got, you know, full, and I'm sure the offense would say the same thing. I'm, you know, without a doubt, but I've got full confidence in the guys that, you know, will step up and take some of these other guys' places. And offensively, you know, Danny and the rest of the offensive staff, they'll put a game plan together to utilize the people that we have and do what they do best and, you know, put points on the board. If that's not the case, then yeah, we'll have to bow up and go do the job so we win the game.